Hello guys, welcome to Data Speak, listening to your data. So our topic for today is how to use Power Query in Excel. How to use Power Query in Excel. But it will make sense before we jump into the practical aspect for you to know what Power Query is all about. What are the features and the description of Power Query? So now, what is Power Query? Power Query in Excel is a powerful data connection and transformation tools used for importing, cleaning, reshaping data from various sources. It allows users to automate data preparation steps without needing to write code using an intuitive interface. So that is the essence of Power Query. Now, the essence of it, the important that one, you import your data. It's used for data cleaning and it's used for data transformation or reshaping your data from various sources. It allows you to automate data preparation because the essence of Power Query is for you to automate those repeated tasks that you do every day. So once you do those tasks in Power Query, automatically the steps are saved. So you don't need to do what? To redo it often and often. Okay, so I listed the features of Power Query and the description, which should be very helpful. Now, one of the features says data import. Now, connects to files, database, online services. Now, Power Query have over 150 data connections. You can connect to data connections with the help of Power Query. Now we have data cleaning. Another feature is data cleaning. So there you can do some you cleaning, you remove errors, blanks, duplicate, filter rows, split columns. Then another feature of Power Query is data transformation. Then you can merge, append tables, pivot and unpivot, group by, calculate new columns. Then the automation, which is what I say that is the essence of Power Query. Now every step is recorded and can be refreshed automatically, which means you don't need to keep on repeating the same task often and often. Once you've done it in Power Query, it's been recorded. So the last feature, not the least, is the M language, a function language behind Power Query for advanced transformation. So as you keep on doing your analysis or transformation or data cleaning in Power Query, now there is behind the engine, there is a language where the language is called M language. All the information, what you've done, the steps is being written. So without wasting much of your time, let's get busy. So before we start using our Power Query, I just want to explain pass this information across. So my Excel version is 2.13 and it doesn't come with a Power Query. So if you have an Excel of 2.13 downward, you need to download and install Power Query separately. So you check it on the Excel, the documentation, and download it. So that is why you find my Power Query on a separate tab. But on the recent version of Excel, it comes under data. Once you click on data on the left-hand side, you will find the Power Query. So let's launch our Power Query. So I'll click on Power Query. Like I said, Power Query has 100 or more than 160 as a data source where you can import data into Power Query. Now you can import data from web, you can import data from file. You see what is being listed under the file. You can import that from database. These are the very database. You can import data. You can import data into Power Query from Azure. You can import it also from online services. You can also import it from other services. So based on this lesson, my data is on an Excel file. It's an Excel file, so I'm going to load my Excel file. So I'm going to click on it. So the data I'm going to work is orders 2024. I'll click on it and I'll hit OK. So it's just going to take a few seconds to. So now the first step, I just need to highlight and check if this is really my data. Now for the latest Excel version, you will notice that here is transform, but as for 2.13, it's called edit. So here there are two options, load and load to. So when I click on load, it's going to load this data to a table. It's going to load it to a data to a table. It's going to load it to a table. When I click load transform, that means I'm going to transform it for loading. So I'm going to click on edit. When I click on edit, so it will give me the opportunity to transform my data and do some cleaning. Now, here's the interface of Power Query. So if you check, we have 4 tabs. We have the home, we have the transform, we have the add column and the view. The transform, under the transform, where you get group by, you get on pivot columns, you have the statistics and the number columns, text column, data column, structure column. So under the add column, so you might have something similar to that of transform. So we have the numbers, the date, and have the text also. So this is where we can add extra column. Then we have the view tab. So let's go back to the home. Now, before I start do anything on Power Query, first of all, the first step I normally do is first of all is to remove the duplicate to check if there's duplicate. So how do I know if there's duplicate? Now, I'll click here. Then if you come down, you find that you see where it says keep duplicate. Now, this helps you to first of all to know if there's a duplicate. Now, if you keep duplicate, it's going to leave the duplicate here. So that's to tell you that your data has a duplicate. Now, so let me click on keep duplicate. You notice that I have 28 rows which are duplicate. 28 rows which are duplicate. So in that 28 row, that means 14 of it are if we remove the duplicates, it's going to leave with 14. So that's to confirm that yes, I have what duplicate. So what I'm just going to take the way step. Now, another thing you need to understand, which I didn't explain earlier, under the query settings, we have the properties. We have to do with the file you work in the name. Then we have the apply step. So what is the function of the apply step? The apply step is that a record is like a macro. A record every step, everything we're going to do, every transformation or claim we're going to do on this data. It will record it here. So for example, if you have a similar data, if it's something, a task that you repeat, you normally do every time. So you don't need to do the same cleaning all the time. What you simply know, once you load the data into Power Query, you just need to do what to refresh it, and it will run all the steps which you've done before. So that's the essence of all the apply step. So as we continue with our data cleaning, you notice that the step will be increasing. So like I said, we've checked if we have our we have a duplicate. Now we can remove the duplicate. We can remove duplicate. So here, because this is an ID which is serves as a unique number, I'm going to click on this. It says remove duplicate. Remove duplicate. Now, no, before we remove the duplicate, what we have 64 rows and 7 columns. So let's see if we remove the duplicate, how many we're going to have. So I'll click on it first. You do what you remove duplicate. Right now, so we are not left with what? 50 rows. We're not left with 50 rows. Like I said, when we checked, when we did keep duplicate before, we noticed that we have 28 rows, which means that 28, when you split it into 2, is 14. So that was actually what happened. 14 has been taken away. So therefore, we have 50 rows now. The duplicate has been removed. Now, how does duplicate work? Duplicate works by row. So let me go back to the second step. Let me remove the duplicate. Let me remove this step. So, for example, let me go to order ID, and on filter, let me select, let me say 102. Now, you notice that this is a duplicate. If you find that the order ID is the same, the customer name is the same, the order date is the same, and the columns, the product is the same. So that is that. So duplicate work, when you remove duplicate, it removed by row, not by column. It removed by row, not by column. So that's the information I just wanted to pass. So let's go back and remove our duplicate. So we remove our duplicate. Now, so the next thing I normally do in Power Query is that I'll need to check the data type. Data type, like for here now, this is when you click here, you get all the various data type. Here what we have is just number, so that's why the data type is number. Here we have only text, that's why we have ABC, that's text. Here we have the order date. But here, what I want here is the date, not date and time. So what I'll do, I'll click here. If you see that currently now it's showing date and time, I just need only date. When I click on date, we have our date. Then product, the data type is okay. The quantity is number. Then the unit price. The unit price should be currency. So I'm going to change this. So I'll give it currency. The discount is okay. It's a decimal. So what's the next step? Now, another thing I normally do when I'm doing doing cleaning Power Query, I normally trim my text columns. Why? Now, just looking at the text column, you notice that Julie start at the extreme end. Then if you see Army here, for order ID 1002, you notice that Army, there's a space before it. So that's the essence of trimming. It's advisable to trim your text. So what I'll need to do, I'll just highlight. I don't want to do it separately. I'll highlight the other text. Currently, we just have only two columns which are text. So what I'll do, I'll right click. So once you right click, you see different function of what you can do in Power Query. You can remove columns, you can remove other columns, remove duplicates, remove errors, replace, feed down or feed up. You can change the type, data type, you can transform. So here, what we want to do is that we want to trim. We want to trim. So under transform, you have the lowercase, the uppercase, the capitalized, and the rest. So when I click on trim, you find that every text now will align. All the text will align at the beginning, no space. So the essence of trimming your text, that means that it removes every space. So like for example, if I want these names all to be in capital letter, so I'll just right click and go to my transform. If I click on uppercase, you see I have all this. If I want it to be the first, the lowercase, when I click on it, it becomes lowercase. So let's take it back. Let's take that. If you notice on the apply step, you see every step we have taken is recording. Every step we're taking is recording. So let's return it back to all the first text, capitalize each word. Now, so what I'll need to do now we can separate this name. We can split this column into two by having first name and last name. So how do we do it? You just need to first of all highlight it. You right click. Then you come down here. You see split columns by delimiter. You can also do that here on the home tab. You can also do it from here also. But most of the time, most of the functions are when you right click it, you find all the function. So I prefer to go with right click. So I'm going to split this by column, and it gave me two options: delimiter or number of characters. So I'll go with delimiter. So currently, what is separating the two names is a space. That's why it gives us a delimiter space. So if it is comma, it would have shown us comma. So we'll go with space, and what we do, we hit OK. You notice that the column has split into two. So what we need to do is just to rename it. I'll give it the word first name. First name. And I'll give this one's last name. Now you see we're able to split the column. So another thing again you can do in Power Query is to extract days, month, or year from a date column. So how do we do that? So when I click on it, now I need to explain the difference between this transform and the add column. Now under the transform, you notice that we have date. When you come to add column, also we have date. Now what's the difference? So for example, now, if I want that transform, when I go on the date, okay, I want to see a year, the year. Once I click on the year, you notice that the entire date will disappear. What will left is only the year. This is not what we want. What we want to do, we want to extract the year from it. So we need to mean that we'll go to add column so that we can keep our original order date. So I'm going to take this off. So I'm going to go to the add column. I'll go under the date. So when I go on the year, I click here, you notice that we have a year, a column. So I can do so that for the month, for the month name. So I can also do that for the day name, for the day name. So that's it. Now, another thing we can do in Power Query is to create another column, a new column altogether. Like for example, now we have quantity, we have unit price, but we don't have the total sales. So we can create a new column called total sales. How do we do that? So I'll just simply highlight the quantity, I hold control, then I highlight the unit price. Now, under the add column, you see we have the standard, we have the statistics. So under the standard, you see you can do addition, multiplication, subtraction, divide, integer, and so here, what we simply do that to get the total sales, it simply means that we're going to have multiply quantity by unit price. So I'll click on multiply. And you see we have a new column on multiplication. So what we simply do now, we just need to what? We just need to rename it. So I'm going to rename it as what? The total sale. Total sales. Total sales. Now, we have now total sales. So there are a lot of things you can do in Power Query. A lot of things you can do in Power Query. So, which so far we're able to do what? To trim our data. Not only we trim our data, we change the data type. Not only we change the data type, we separate columns, the name column into first name and the last name by splitting by delimiter. We also do what? We inserted a new month name, day name from what? From the date column. So there are many things you can do in Power Query. And if you notice on the apply section, all the steps are what have been applied. So therefore, if I have a new data, I don't need to do all the steps again. What I simply need to do is that if it's the same file, I just need to add it on the same folder where the data is being saved in my local system. What I need to do is just do refresh and every other thing will be updated. So these are the things that you can do in Power Query. So far so good. We've done justice with this our data. So what I will do is that, for example, now, okay, I don't need this row, this product row. What I need to do, I just right click and what? And remove. I can bring it back. So another thing again is when I right click, it gave me two options, remove or remove other columns. So if I click remove other column, it's going to remove all the other column, but this one bit that has been highlighted is not going to be removed. So let me just show you. See, other columns have disappeared. So you need to be careful on how to use it. So once you've done whatever you've done in Power Query and you think that is okay, so what you need to do is that on the home side, you see where we have load and close and load. So I'll just click on it. It will load the data, the clean data now in a table. It will load it in a table. So you're just taking a little time. So it's taking a little time to. So now we have our data clean data, our data, clean data. So we can now work on analysis if you have a Power BI. So what you need to know, the Power Query also is in Excel and it's also in Power BI desktop. So from there, once you clean your data and reshape your data, then you can now go on with your analysis. So that's all I have for you guys for Power Query. Thank you guys very much and see you in the next video.